Authorities said the shooting may have happened in front of her own children.
Now, this happened in Montgomery County about 3 o'clock this morning on Torrington Place, just off Salem Avenue. News Center 7's Mike Campbell joins us live with what 911 calls and police are telling him.
The silence before a tragedy is often the loudest sound. Think about the one terrifying moment in your life when you knew, with absolute certainty, that your time was up. Every alarm bell in your head is screaming, and all you have is a phone. Montanae Davis, a young mother and successful registered nurse in Dayton, Ohio, hit that moment at 2:49 a.m. She made the call, the final, desperate plea from the one place you were supposed to be safest, your own home. Her ex-boyfriend, Jamartay Brown, was outside. He wasn't asking to come in. He was calling her, making a specific, lethal promise. He was coming to shoot up her house. And her 2 young kids were inside. What happens when the lock on your front door is the only thing standing between you and lethal rage? The problem here is simple. Intimate partner violence doesn't knock. It kicks the door down. That 911 call, did it save anyone? Or was it just a final, tragic scream into the void? You need to know what happened next. If this story makes the hair stand up on your arms, you're feeling the weight of a missed warning. Don't miss the next one. Hit that subscribe button now, because what you learn here might be the one red flag that saves a life later. We all need to know what to watch out for. Welcome to Unseen True Crime Stories, where the darkest secrets and untold cases come to light. Consider subscribing and tapping the notification bell. That way, you won't miss our next true crime story. We need to understand who Montanae was, not just what happened to her. At only 26, Montanae Antoinette Lamique Chantel Davis wasn't just surviving. She was winning. She was a dedicated registered nurse, a vital part of the Dayton healthcare community. Her memorial program carried an inspirational quote that defined her drive. She believed she could. So she did. She burned the midnight oil, grinding through endless clinical hours and early morning study sessions to become a caregiver, someone devoted to preserving life. And she did all of this while raising 2 young children. Think about the energy, the focus, the sheer grit it takes to build a career in healing while building a loving home. Her future was dedicated to nurturing life, but a life built on care was being stalked by sheer malice. The person issuing those final, chilling threats was Jamartay Brown, 24, her ex-boyfriend. This was a classic high-risk situation of intimate partner violence. When a relationship ends and one person refuses to let go, the refusal often escalates from control to threats and sometimes to lethal action. Brown wasn't processing the breakup. He was weaponizing his rage. Calling her, threatening her home, it's the terrifying blueprint of a domestic fatality. And the timeline confirms the worst. Brown wasn't slowing down. He wasn't giving a warning he hoped she would ignore. He was already on his way. The police were racing to the 700 block of Torrington Place, but the question wasn't if he would arrive. The terror was knowing he was about to force his way in. The clock is racing. It's the pre-dawn darkness of Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. Police dispatchers are sending units to the 700 block of Torrington Place on reports of a shooting. But before any shots were fired, the audio log captures Montanae's desperate warning, her words hanging in the air. "He's actively calling me and threatening to shoot up my house. My 2 children are here." This wasn't just a threat. It was a promise of violence that Jamartay Brown delivered on instantly. Brown didn't try to negotiate. He didn't try to reason. He arrived at the rear of Montanae's house and launched a full-scale assault. This wasn't a quiet breaking and entering. This was pure, rage-fueled destruction. Court affidavits confirm he was kicking at the back door and back garage door. Think about that for a second. That door, the barrier meant to separate your safe space from the outside world. From pure malice, it's now buckling, cracking, about to give way. What would you do in those terrifying seconds? The home's defenses were utterly destroyed. Brown achieved forced entry. He was inside the house with a firearm, and the mother who had just pleaded for help was now trapped. Police are still en route. What happened in those crucial, unrecorded moments between the sound of the door crashing open and the immediate, shattering echo of the first gunshot. Brown crashed through the door and located Montanae in the kitchen. According to the affidavit, he wasted no time. Mr. Brown was able to force the door open and began to shoot Ms. Davis several times with a firearm. The confrontation was over almost before it began, swift, brutal, and executed in the most central, familiar area of her home. Officers, arriving seconds later, found Montanae suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. She was rushed to Miami Valley Hospital, but the violence was too extreme. A life dedicated to healing was violently taken. But then, the chaos intensified. The nightmare wasn't a solo act. There was another adult female inside the house, a friend. This is the unexpected variable. Hearing the terrifying rounds being fired, this friend didn't hide. She took defensive action, utilizing her own firearm and firing shots back at Jamartay Brown. It was a frantic, terrifying exchange in the dark. Did the friend's counterattack hit Brown? We know this for sure. The defensive gunfire broke his concentration and fueled his panic. He fled the house instantly, sprinting into the pre-dawn streets before police could lock down the perimeter. The friend's courage, that split-second decision to fight back, might be the only reason Brown didn't cause more carnage. But for Montanae, the warning came too late. The friend had a gun. Montanae, tragically, did not survive. If you're watching this, you've just seen how fast things go from zero to fatal. Most people think they don't need to be prepared, but those few who still refuse to subscribe and be part of this preventative conversation, go ahead and tell me why in the comments. Why are you risking it? Seriously, tell me what you think you already know. I'll read every one of those answers. In the immediate aftermath, officers on Torrington Place were fighting to save Montanae's life. She was rushed to Miami Valley Hospital, but the injuries were catastrophic. Tragically, about 2 hours later, Montanae succumbed to the violence. A young life, a successful career, and a dedicated mother were gone. Jamartay Brown was gone too, but the Dayton Police Homicide Unit was already running his trail. Leveraging the victim's final call, detectives quickly focused on his movements after fleeing the scene. The pursuit led them to an area near Queens Avenue, and this is where Brown revealed his true nature. Investigators tracked down surveillance and witness accounts detailing Brown's efforts to destroy proof of the murder. They watched him, or someone matching his description, get rid of the firearm by shoving it into a nearby storm sewer. The recovery of that evidence yielded the most profoundly upsetting detail in the entire case. The gun used to murder Montanae was not just tossed away. It was found carefully wrapped. Wrapped in what? A toddler-sized t-shirt. He didn't just murder a mother. He used a piece of her child's clothing, an item symbolizing everything he destroyed to try and hide the proof. That's not a crime of passion. That's a cold, calculated disposal. That is a man trying to erase his crime with a child's garment. The sheer audacity of that detail shattered any doubt about his intent. This wasn't just murder, it was tampering with evidence. With this damning evidence recovered, the 911 call, the forced entry, and the shocking disposal, the prosecution wasn't just seeking a homicide conviction. They were stacking an insurmountable deck of 13 felonies against him.
They said the shooting may have happened in front of her own children.
Now, this happened in Montgomery County about 3 o'clock this morning on Torrington Place, just off Salem Avenue. News Center 7's Mike Campbell joins us live with what 911 calls and police are telling him.
Well, Gabrielle, investigators downtown at the Dayton Police Department headquarters and those here at the West Patrol Operations Division tell me the entire homicide squad is working on this case. Now, you could actually hear shots being fired when one person dialed 911, and it appears the victim herself made a chilling call moments earlier.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
We are not using the audio that appears to be the 26-year-old victim. She told dispatchers an ex-boyfriend was calling her, threatening to shoot up her house, and she told dispatchers she had 2 children. Then dispatchers received a second call, they believe, from another adult female that was in the house, but that call dropped.
Hello? 911, we got a call from this number. Is everything okay? Where are you? Where are you?
Police were already on the way after the first call, but more officers headed to the street and the home after the second call.
They found a female, 26 years of age, who had been shot. They did first aid at the scene, but unfortunately she passed away later at the hospital.
Dayton Police Major Brian Johns told us they are following up on some information shared with them in the 911 calls.
There is information that we are aware of, that there was like a break-in there first, that there was like a fight taking place, and then the shots were actually fired, and she was struck and killed.
Police told me their forensic services unit recovered a lot of evidence that they are analyzing. They didn't want to tell me if someone in the home returned fire against the person that broke in or not. They also wouldn't confirm if the victim's children were in the home when the tragedy took place.
I cannot comment yet on that. We do have a person of interest that we're trying to follow up on. Our entire homicide unit right now is out working this complaint, trying to bring some resolution and some justice for the victim and her family.
Back live now. Police could not tell me if they've had previous calls from the victim in this case or from the home where this happened. They are checking that, and we will let you know what they discover. Reporting live, Mike Campbell, News Center 7.
Less than 14 hours after the murder, Jamartay Brown was located and arrested. The swift action of law enforcement, fueled by Montanae's final warning, ensured he was immediately held without bond. But the true weight of his crime came when the Montgomery County grand jury delivered their verdict. It wasn't a single charge. It was an overwhelming force of 13 felonies. The prosecution's strategy was clear: build a wall of accountability. The charges included a barrage of 4 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of aggravated burglary for the forced entry, 2 counts of aggravated robbery, and the charge for tampering with evidence, all designed to guarantee the most severe punishment possible. They were arguing for multiple paths to a life sentence. Brown's defense tried to find a loophole. His team initially entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. This put the case on hold for a mental evaluation. But a judge isn't easily fooled. Montgomery County Common Pleas Court Judge Mary Montgomery reviewed the assessment and ruled unequivocally: Jamartay Brown was presently competent to stand trial. The court cleared the way. Justice will not be decided on a mental health defense. It will be decided on the brutal, undeniable facts: the forced entry, the murder, and the chilling detail of the weapon found wrapped in a child's shirt. Montanae's life was cut short by someone who thought they had the right to take it. We need to remember her life, not just her death. If you believe Montanae, her children, and every victim of domestic violence deserve to have their stories heard and their lessons learned, then like this video and share it with someone who needs to see this. Your click helps keep their memory and this warning alive. In the end, the system's power to seek justice was born from a mother's desperate last act. Montanae's own final warning, delivered on the 911 call, became the prosecution's most powerful piece of evidence, ensuring that even in death, she held her attacker accountable. you.